Alright, in this one, I want to make a Bitcoin update going over what has happened since my last video and what my plans are as of right now. So, in my last video, I talked about this high that we put in up here and said that if we start breaking market structure after putting in this high, after wicking the high of the range again with continued bearish divergences on the 4-hour momentum and money flow, that, could be bearish. This, number one could be a distribution where we have, the three taps, two SFPs of the prior wicks, and that this could be, more of a bearish sign than just us rotating this range again. This could mean that this range eventually wants to break to the downside. Doesn't guarantee it, but, having distribution at such a key area like this definitely does have the potential to be, more of a bearish thing than just another range rotation. So, overall, Bitcoin is at a very key spot. We just put in a new yearly high. We are right now consolidating at a very key point around a key high. And yeah, since we have now gotten a rotation down to the low of the range after getting that SFP, and I'm not saying that just because we had this distribution means that we are definitely going to break down out of this range. We could still just continue ranging here. Maybe we end up forming some kind of accumulation thing down here and then, continuing upwards. That's also a possibility, but it is another bearish thing, along with the divergences, the very clear divergences that we are seeing on some time frames. Now, not all time frames are diverging. In fact, at least, the money flow on the 12-hour is still looking pretty decent. It's still pretty thick. We do have momentum divergences, but the money flow is not looking bad, and right now the VWAP is curving back to the upside. We can check the daily time frame as well. That's looking a bit more bearish, I guess. Momentum and money flow right now are kind of turning to the downside here. Money flow is not very thick. So, I'd say on a lot of time frames we are seeing bearish signs, at least momentum divs here, and a lot of time frames money flow is bleeding out as well. But we could also just continue ranging here for another week or two and let that money flow dip into the red before turning back up. That is also a possibility. So I'm not saying that we definitely have to break this range to the downside, but it is looking a bit more likely now, I would say. Now, another thing I was looking at was this 15-minute market structure, and one of the ideas I had when I made my last video was a potential short trade if we broke 15-minute market structure, which I can mark out here. We had an uptrend as we came up to put in this high, and we SFP'd the last higher low right here. So this is not a break in market structure. However, if we close below this wick now, I would consider us in a downtrend. I would consider it a break. And one of my ideas was looking for a retest after we closed down below this low, which we did not get. We did close down below the low, but we just dumped all the way down to the low of the range. So there was no chance to get in on a retest there, unfortunately. But what this also does is makes it so that, you can technically say this is market structure now in the 15, where, we did technically put in a lower low here, even though it wasn't a break at the time. We have now broken it, and since it is a lower low in primary structure, I will count it as this 15 structure, and even if not, you can take structure from a swing point, so, mapping out structure this way would be the same. We have a downtrend on the 15, and the last lower high was all the way up here. We didn't really, form any lower highs in this area. It was just one move to the downside. So what that means is we can get a move all the way back up into this area, into this key zone I was watching originally for a retest, and we still could put in a lower high up here. Now, that would change if we come down to take out the low first. If we put in another lower low, then whatever the high is would be the lower high, and then that idea would no longer work. But right now, if we start pumping back up, then we could potentially be looking for a lower high somewhere. And I am pretty much basing my local plans off of this at the moment. So I'm looking at any of these key areas to the upside for a potential lower high. And some of the areas I'm watching, we have this 15-minute order block in the middle of this move to the downside, which, you can look at the larger range levels and see if there's any other confluence. Maybe the point of control, if you adjust it a little bit, we can pull that to recent price action. And not really. The value area high is a little bit above it, so maybe you wick this order block into the value area high. I guess that's a possibility. But I don't love this 15. I think I would prefer this 8-hour order block up around the highs. And reason being, we got a bit more confluence around there. Also, this would clearly be above the value area high of the range, which would make for another range deviation, which is something that we've been doing a lot inside this range. This has been a drawn out range here, and yeah, there have been a lot of opportunities to short the highs of the range and long the lows, so this could potentially be another one. And there is some other confluence around there as well, like the range levels of this local range. You can look at the value area low, the point of control of this range. You can also look at this golden pocket from the high to the low, and that is coming in right inside of that order block as well. Maybe you can even take the volume of this downtrend, pull it down to this low, and see if the point of control is still in there, and it is. So I actually like this point of control probably best. I don't know if it switched much. Let me actually check that. Okay, so no, it doesn't switch at all. So I like this point of control coming in at like 31,200-ish. I think that could make for a nice spot to reject from inside of this order block. And yeah, overall, if we get a retracement to the upside, I'd be looking for bearish signs in any of these areas. You can look for divergences. You can look for maybe a market structure shift. You can look for a market structure shift followed by a retest. And it just depends on how you want to play it. You could take, I guess, a riskier trade, and if you see divergences as we make our way up here, you could just enter right away. Invalidation up above here, and that would be what I would probably call more of a risky trade, just because you don't really have the confirmations yet. Or you could wait for that market structure break and take more of a, I don't want to say safe, but a trade with more confirmations, and then you can put invalidation above the high. That's another way you could play it. Or you could hope that we get a retracement after breaking market structure and look for wherever the retracement is going to be. Maybe there's an order block, and then you can get potentially a much better risk reward from this trade. So it all depends on how you want to play it. There's a lot of ways you can look for confirmations. But right now to the upside, these are the levels I am most interested in. And I guess I can look for some other confluence around that 15-minute order block, just because I don't want to miss anything significant. The 0.5 fib of this pull is coming in right inside of there. And actually, let me pull this up to this wick as well. And 0.5 is, coming in at the top of the box there. So some confluence there, I guess. But again, I think I like the top order block better because it is clearly outside of the value area. But I guess I'd be watching this level as well. And that's pretty much it for my plans to the upside. Other than that, if we keep pumping above the order block, there's this 45 above it that could do something as well. Maybe we wick this higher order block, the 8-hour order block, into this 45-minute. So I still have that marked out just in case. And then after that, the next significant level I'd be watching is the high. Now I am in one long trade at the moment. I entered a long right down here, and I can quickly run over how I entered that. So we did not get any higher time frame or mid time frame market structure shifts as we put in this low, but we did see a 2-minute and potentially a 3-minute as well, but it doesn't really matter. We at least got a 2-minute transition here where we put in lower low, came up to put in a lower high, and then put in another lower low. And from there, we transition market structure right over here. So we had an uptrend, and yesterday I had this low marked out right here as being the 2-minute higher low or whatever time frame you want to look at it at, but this was the market structure I was looking at. Now from here, we pretty much ended up ranging, and we broke this market structure bearishly right here. And technically, when I entered this trade, I guess we were still in bearish market structure because we went from this higher high straight down to this lower low. So everything in between these 2 points after we broke market structure would be internal. So technically I entered this on an internal market structure break, but we came up for this high. This wasn't anything in terms of market structure because, like I said, we didn't come up to take out the high yet. But yeah, we pretty much made a lower low, got this big move to the upside, started getting a move back to the downside. So pretty much I took what I would call a riskier trade on an internal market structure shift. But, it ended up playing out. And once we got this move to the upside, I marked out some order blocks. We had this larger one, which I did not label them, so I don't know what time frame they are. But I think this one is a 5-minute. Yeah, it is. So I was looking at this 5-minute candle along with this smaller 5-minute candle. Maybe a different time frame, but yeah, you can see these 2 order blocks here. And once we got an internal market structure shift on this move to the downside, which we got right here, we actually got a lower low, lower high, lower low. I can hide these boxes to make that easier to see, but yeah, I entered on this market structure shift right here when we broke this last lower high. I set my first target to this high, and yeah, that's pretty much the only trade I'm in at the moment. Wasn't, a great trade, but it did put me in a long, and I, think that there is good potential here for us to rotate back to the high of the range. I mean, we got a very quick move back to the low of the range. I think it's possible that we get a quick move back up. So entering on a low time frame internal market structure break, it worked because it was really the best thing that I had at the moment. So that's how I got into the long. And since my long, we have come up to break this last lower high. So we did technically switch market structure back to bullish if you're following this primary structure on the 2-minute. So, again, we just had higher low, higher high, lower low here, and then we just came back up to put in a higher high right here. So technically in an uptrend at the moment. So, if we start getting a retracement here, I could look for some place in here for a higher low, maybe some kind of order block. We can quickly go through some time frames and check and see if there's anything. And going from the higher time frames and down, right now the lowest order block that I'm seeing is this 3-minute. So I can mark that out. And let me switch this template because that box is obnoxious. And then we can look for some lower time frame ones. There is this 2-hour order block here as well. It's not great because there isn't a big body here. It's mostly wick, but you could look at that. This 1 hour is separated by that one candle, so I don't love that. This 30-minute order block could be something because it doesn't look like it was tagged after it printed here. Yeah, this candle right here did not tag it. So I would consider watching that 30-minute one. And we can look for some other ones potentially inside of this zone here. This is a 15-minute order block, and this down here is also a 15-minute order block. I'm not going to mark them out. It's not that important. Really, what I would be looking for in this zone would be a low time frame market structure shift. And yeah, it doesn't really matter where that comes in. Once I see that, then I would probably consider that to be the higher low. So yeah, there's a few ideas to the downside. And other than that, I'd pretty much be watching this low. Seeing if we SFP it or if we close below that, because that would change the rest of my plans. Like I said, I would no longer really be looking for a lower high up in any of these areas. And yeah, I think that pretty much does it for my plans as of right now. We are still trading in this larger range, so it's fine by me. I like range trading. and right now we are sitting around the lows of the range, so that means I would be prioritizing longs over shorts for the most part. And right now seems like we could be reclaiming the point of control of this range. We fell down below it, now we kind of got back above it. Let's see if we actually flip that to support in any way. And yeah, we kind of did. You can say we flipped this to support. We hide this because we got a move above it, fell back down, kind of held support, and then got a move higher. So yeah, potentially we could be looking for another rotation back to the high of the range. So that's pretty much what I'd be looking for next. Alright, well, thank you all for watching. If you enjoyed, please consider leaving a like and subscribing. Really appreciate it. And I'll see you all in the next video.